Cole Tyndall with Fast Break. I'm here with Coop.
What's good?
Cooper Hill, Coop.
Yes, sir.
Man, I've been following your journey for a while, man. I feel like you are one of those artists that is more than just an artist. I feel you have so many tools at your disposure. You have a lot of tools, Coop, and I feel like you have a lot to offer a lot of people. I want to ask you a couple questions about that. I wonder, how would you kind of define yourself first? Would you say you're an artist or a songwriter?
I would define myself. Oh, that's a good question.
You're welcome.
I would say artist for sure, because performing is like what I want to do long term.
Yes.
I know that I want to be an artist, but I love songwriting. I'm not like the greatest singer in the world, so hearing other people sing and bring to life my lyrics is one of my favorite experiences ever.
Well, and it's interesting to hear you say that, because I think that you are a good singer.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
But I understand how your tone of voice may not always apply.
Right.
And how you don't let that discourage you. You don't think like when we were talking a little bit before this about sort of future pathways for you and ways you can contribute to the industry.
For sure.
And I think it's awesome that you don't just limit yourself to being like, well, it's got to be my voice on it. Like, you know that your pen is just as strong.
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of leads me into my question. So I know you've been a part of a couple different groups, a couple different names. You've been in a couple different spheres. Like, how has that sort of been for you to go from being maybe like not an independent artist and back to being an independent artist?
Sure.
And like maybe tell us a little bit about what's coming.
I feel like I love being a part of something. Just like group of people who are like-minded, love making music. So I'm always the first to be like, someone gives me a cool name for a collective, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like jumping into it. I'll probably always be like that. It doesn't really change how I like, when it comes to me, just like making music. In fact, being around people like that probably brings out more creativity and the best of my work. So right now I'm with Divine Outcasts as a music collective. Y'all probably know it as a fashion brand. We're going to kind of try and shift it more to a music collective. Yeah. It's not a label. Nobody's signed. We're all doing our own thing. But it's pretty cool. It's kind of like we're going to merge the fashion with here's artists that we want to push and support, whether that's CHH or kind of like CHH adjacent pop artists, stuff like that. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, and
I don't know if that answered the question. I kind of like dropped some exclusive stuff after the after the question.
I think what I was sort of also asking. Because that was a great answer. I was also asking, so like you've at times been independent.
For sure.
Like contractually. Yeah. And there's times where, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the situation was with Next Move. Yeah. But it seemed like when that sort of transitioned, it seemed like maybe you were not as independent and you became that way. Like,
sure.
I'm curious, like, what was it like for you to be independent, to not be independent?
Yeah.
And how are you feeling about that today?
So being not independent with Next Move was still probably the best experience I've ever been through, as far as like early in my career.
Yep.
You know, Henrik and Christopher Sincere are my lifelong brothers for that.
Those dudes are killers too.
Graham for producing that whole like wave era of music.
Absolutely.
That was crazy. So I enjoyed it. I think that all of us were growing. Like Henrik's doing kind of the folk stuff. I was about to make a switch to pop. Christopher Sincere still rapping, doing a little bit of experimenting with rock music.
Yep.
It made more sense for us to branch out and go off on our own. So it was kind of just like, it made sense. Like it was a mutual, like, this feels like we're going our own direction, and Next Move had its moment and it was amazing, and now we're going to do something next. So going independent from that just felt really good, natural. It was perfect for me to launch the Cooper Hill name inside of the music with like the pop sound. So well, hopefully that's a better answer.
Take two is much better.
Yeah.
Well, I have a super close friend. I don't know if you know Barely Trev. And
just through social media.
Well, that's my boy. So cool. He and I have slightly different opinions at times about like how different can you go? How much can you switch your sound? Yeah. Without that sort of being not a betrayal, but sort of confusing to your fan base. Yeah. And as somebody who was Coop the rapper and is now Cooper Hill the pop artist, what was it that made you decide to do that? And do you still like enjoy rapping?
Yeah. That was a crazy time period because I was terrified that I was making the wrong decision.
Sure.
Momentum wise, like the Coop profile artist was the highest
it was going.
It had been. I think the Next Move album had just gone like number 2 or something on Christian iTunes, 24 in the world. So shout out everyone that streamed and bought that. I had a EP on my own that was doing really well, still carrying over.
Yep.
So it was like, as far as marketing goes, it was the worst decision like I could have made. Like if I told someone, hey, I think I'm going to start singing now and stop rapping, like when my profile was.
Guys, hear me out.
Yeah. But I think just staying true to like authentic, I was only listening to pop music at that point in my life, really inspired by pop artists, wanting to write pop music.
That's right.
And it wouldn't make sense for me to not do something that I was just loving and pursuing. And music for me was writing and an expression way before it was a job with a fan base. So I want to stay true to that of like, if I'm not making what I feel like is important to me and my expression, then it's not gonna come across as authentic to a fan base anyways. So I still love hip hop. Like it's my DNA. It's why I'm such a good writer. I think as a pop artist, like it forever changed my life. I'll definitely never stop rapping altogether. There might be some Coop drops. Cooper Hill projects might have rap mixed in there for sure. Cause it's just, hip hop is like so much a part of how I was raised, who I am. But pop music was like, I love this too much to not explore it and to ignore that, if that makes sense.
Well, and I feel like there's such an interesting opportunity as someone who is also a songwriter in that space. Yeah. Because I think pop, especially with the way that like hip hop music sort of, you don't really write for other people in hip hop.
Right. That's a big stigma.
Or you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, pop music, I would say the nice way to say it is there's a feeling that can be mutually felt and appreciated in that music. Yep. That's why I like pop music. And some people are like, oh, it's generic. Like, no, it applies to all of you. Right. And that's what makes it amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
So as somebody who, you know, has obviously written for some pretty big artists, like how has that experience been for you? And do you think you want to continue doing that?
Absolutely. Yeah, amazing. It's been incredible. I think I kind of touched on this earlier. It's special being able to write something that you know you can't really execute well. Like I hear it in my head as like, man, John Michael Howell could sing this really well, or Nick D could sing this really well.
That's right.
And hearing those artists execute it to the best that it can be executed. Well, right. As opposed to me, like, I can't really hit this note, or I can't really, see what I'm saying? Like, playing to their strengths.
Well, right. And I guess earlier I was talking more about, like, vocal ability. And this is more tying into the storytelling aspect.
Okay, cool.
So I guess both apply.
Yeah, yeah. It's another thing is, like, when I'm writing for myself, it's 100% my own stories. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm in a studio writing with or for another artist, I get to express something that's not even like, I would have never thought to do that. Right. Their story that they're bringing to the table that they want help with on the technical side of songwriting, how to rhyme these words, how to do flow, cadence, melody, but it's their story that I get to help bring to life. That's another part of songwriting that, you know, I wouldn't get to have with my own music. It's like expanding my experience with telling stories.
Well, and it almost removes the ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're all different. We all have different human experiences. And there's songs that, like, I've been a part of that, like, I've cried making that, like, it wasn't even my story. I just got to help bring it to life. And that would have never happened, you know what I'm saying, with just me. So, hope that answers that.
Well, Coop, what comes next?
Man, a lot. I'm signing a deal. As a pop mainstream artist, both publishing and an artist. That information will be out hopefully soon. But I'm excited I feel like I want to say thank you to the CHH community. That's where I got my start. That's where I got my fan base. And now I'm getting to take like that foundation that I was built with, that same principles, especially with the Divine Outcast brand, and apply that to a mainstream secular world with pop music that, you know, I write love songs, I write worship songs, I write whatever, but it all is glorifying God in a way that, you know, the secular world doesn't always make music that just feels good, but also has substance to it, you know what I'm saying?
I admire your self-confidence with it, because I think it is a real confusing thing. And I've seen a lot of artists go through this where it's like, I feel like I have to explain to Christian artists why I'm talking about certain topics, and then I got to explain to secular audiences why I'm talking about God. And it's just like, I'm just talking about me. And there's almost like I didn't ask you to claim me. It's like I made this song for everybody, and I love that you love it, but that doesn't mean I can't talk about this now.
For sure.
And I think that, you know, even artists like Chance the Rapper, like I feel like that guy is evangelized to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Even if that like wasn't his initial vocation. Like
Chance, Justin Bieber.
Exactly.
John Bellion. People like that. They're just like
John Bellion's my number one artist.
Yeah, he's my biggest inspiration. But it's just like when you have that mainstream appeal, as far as like anybody can put on some headphones and not even know that they're getting the gospel fed to them. Because it's not presented in like a super religious, churchy way.
That's right.
But it's just real life, like human stuff. That's my favorite kind of music. That's what I want to make.
Go out into the world and spread the gospel.
For sure. And CHH is incredible. I don't want to say like there's not one way to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Of course not.
Like, my favorite artists in CHH are the artists that are like explicitly like Holvey talking and pushing like Jesus, Caleb Gordon, Ty, people like that. Like I love that. So I'm not at all talking against that or anything.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you. Thanks for sitting down with us. I know you got a lot of business going on here, so we'll let you get back to it. But thanks for sitting down, and we'll talk to you later.
Dude, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys just letting artists have this platform. That's amazing.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Yeah.